Welcome to Halloween, and welcome to the Halloween special episode of the vlog.
You can see inside this one.
Yeah, that's got windows out.
It's got windows that are busted. See that?
Oh my Jesus Christ. Did you hear that? That's like a dungeon back there.
The other time we were here, someone came in there.
What was that? Did you hear that?
Yep, definitely heard that. Yeah, let's go.
Wow, it's Halloween, and as you guys know, in Scotland we love a good ghost story. I've done lots of kind of ghosty type of videos on my channel. I've went after ghosts. I've told you about ghost stories, I think. I'm going to tell you about ghost stories. And I generally like to talk about paranormal type of stuff and weird goings on. And it's not even necessarily about beliefs or anything and what I believe. It's just the experiences that I have and the places that I take you, because Scotland is a mystical place. We have folklore, we have legend, and lots of scary tales in Scotland. In fact, one of our favourite things to do in Scotland is to tell people ghost stories as soon as they arrive, to put the willies up them. I've had friends that have come here, I've taken them on some of the ghost tours, and they literally did not sleep for like the whole 3 or 4 days that they stayed in Edinburgh. And in today's episode of the vlog, I thought I would take you on a bit of a tour of some of the most scary places I know of, or that I have been in Scotland. There are of course a lot more than the ones I'm going to list, but these are the places that I've actually vlogged about and I've actually been. So everybody, welcome, thank you very much for joining in on this Halloween special episode of the vlog. Cue scary music. If you are new here, do not forget to hit that big red subscribe button down below so you can keep in touch with all of my content from now on and join the clan. And the first story I'm going to tell you about, the first place, the first scary location in Scotland that I've been to, and I think it was actually probably one of my first ever vlogs on my channel, certainly the first 5 videos that I did on my channel, and I think a lot of you guys, because you've probably joined within the last year, you never saw that video. Yester Castle and Goblin's Hall. Yester Castle is an abandoned castle, a castle ruin in the woods near Gifford. There are no roads or even direct paths whatsoever to Yester Castle in Goblin Hall. It is literally in the middle of some woods near Gifford. Just walking to this place is quite spooky. So Yester Castle was thought to have been built around 1267, the year 1267, by Hugo de Gifford, quite an important figure at that time. And he built an underground chamber next to that castle, or underneath the castle, which is known as Goblin Hall. Let's go and have a look. I don't know if you can see anything, but it's pretty dark in here. George, no, it's just here. We're almost there. Wow. Look at this place. So I'm going to take a light with me so we can see.
That's the stairs right there. No. Nothing. I could have put it in.
This is really creepy. Dark tunnel of steps. George, breathe in the light. I seen a mist.
I see a mist as well. It's you breathing, Sean, yeah.
George, I won't go any further.
Yeah, that's dead end then, man.
I'm not going down there. I wonder, was it an old church? Or was it like a, what was it? Or a castle?
Like the Tunbridge Castle.
It's like an old chimney up there. Floors up there. Look at the roof. That roof is pretty cool. Let's get the hell out of here. So, Sir Hugo de Gifford, who built this place and who spent a lot of time down in this Goblin Hall, was said to be a very powerful necromancer and was known by his nickname, the Wizard of Yester, the Wizard of Yester Castle. This place is only about half an hour from Edinburgh. If you're staying in Edinburgh, you can actually go there yourself. And it was in the Goblin Hall, down underneath this castle, in that chamber that I just showed you guys, that he was thought to practice his sorcery. I had to look up what a necromancer was, I didn't even know. But apparently it's somebody who can talk to the dead. And to be honest with you, this dude sounds like somebody you wouldn't want to mess with. So if his spirit lingers in that place, stay the hell away from me, basically. But to be honest with you guys, having been to Yester Castle and underneath the Goblin Hall 2 or 3 times now, I've never felt any kind of negative energy there. Of all the abandoned and scary places I've been to in Scotland, in the Goblin Hall I felt a sense of tranquility and peace. If the Wizard of Yester is still haunting that place, he's never come to me. Okay guys, the next location I want to tell you about is Rosslyn Castle. Now a lot of you guys will have heard of Rosalind Chapel. It is a world famous location thanks to the Da Vinci Code movie starring Tom Hanks. Rosalind Chapel is at the centre of a lot of kind of conspiracy theories about the Knights Templar and the Holy Grail. Right next to Rosalind Chapel, if any of you guys have ever visited the place, right next to it in the woods, probably about 100 meters or so away, but hidden in the woods in the valley, is Rosalind Castle. It is a very awesome looking castle. There's actually like a really creepy old bridge that goes over to it. It's a great location. If you're in Rosalind Chapel, you need to go and have a look at Rosalind Castle. You can't get in, it's private. I believe people live there, and I think you might actually be able to rent it out. Anyway, Rosalind Castle stands on top of this kind of big rock type of thing. It's a bizarre looking place, right? I have been there a few times having a look around, and the woods around Rosalind Castle are very, very creepy. I definitely felt a presence there. I got creeped out, had goosebumps, the whole lot, right? Now those woods are said to be haunted by a crazed dog, a war dog, a dog that was used for the purposes of war, and is now a ghost dog wandering the woods. And in fact, a lot of people have heard crazy howling and blood-curdling screams from those woods that are said to come from this haunted dog. It's a big black dog apparently, quite a few people have seen it. It's a local legend in Rosslyn, the Rosslyn ghost dog. And I definitely just felt so creepy in there, I did not like it. I've been there a couple of times for the vlog, it's scary as hell. Walk around the woods and it's just creepy, right? It is a creepy place. And I just didn't feel comfortable. I felt like somebody was watching me in there. This dog, right, was said to have been owned by an English knight that was used in battle during the Battle of Rosslyn in 1303. A Scottish soldier slain this English knight, and the dog started to attack the soldier, so the dog got slain as well, and that is where this ghost dog is said to have originated. I mean, I've never actually heard any weird noises in there, I've not seen anything, but I felt creeped out in those woods. So, I'll just leave that to you. If any of you guys want to go and check it out in those woods next to Rosalind Castle, be my guest. Okay, number 3 in the most scary places I have been to in Scotland. And this isn't in any order, by the way, because this one probably is the top of the list in terms of most scary places. The most creepy places I've been to is the Covenanters prison in Greyfriars Courtyard in the centre of Edinburgh. I've been to this place lots of times, and I'm just going to show you some of the footage.
The floors in here are wet and slippery. Watch where you put your feet.
We have arrived in the Greyfriars Courtyard.
In the last 12 years, we've had over 3,000 people knocked unconscious in this tomb. We call this tomb the Black Mausoleum. Before you go inside tonight, and you are, a little bit of advice. Please do not stand directly at the back wall. In here we get areas called drenches. They're barometric fluctuations. If you find one, your ears will buzz, they will pop, your blood pressure will cascade, and chances are you'll faint.
That there behind me, I'm not sure how well you can see it, right, but right there behind me, that is the resting place of George Mackenzie and his family. Right, whether you believe the legend or not, but George Mackenzie was a Lord Advocate and is said to be responsible for a lot of the deaths and torture of the Covenanters who are here in Edinburgh. So there you go. Greyfriars Courtyard, Covenanters Prison, the Mackenzie poltergeist, an absolute favourite of the ghost storytellers in Edinburgh. But the thing that I really love about this story is the fact that it's real, right? If you come to Edinburgh and you consider doing any of these ghost tours, the things they're going to be telling you is real history. These characters really existed. This really happened. This rebellion of the Covenanters really happened. They were really kept in that prison, and they were really tortured by Mackenzie, and they were really killed. And Mackenzie died in Edinburgh and was buried in the Greyfriars Courtyard, and his ghost is said to have haunted the place ever since. It is a dark, creepy, spooky place, and I just don't like it there. Okay, the next one on the list is a place that I have been to on this vlog a couple of times before. When I was with Moscow, aka the Wee Scottish Lass, another Scottish vlogger who has been on this channel many times, a good friend of mine. We have done a lot of kind of ghosty type of tours together. Bangor Hospital is an abandoned village, basically, very close to Livingston in the central belt of Scotland. The hospital operated for a number of years, and up until quite recently actually, I think it was the early 90s, it still operated. In fact, quite a lot of people were born there. It was basically a maternity ward. I believe it was run by nuns at some point. A long time ago, it was a place where people, and women especially, who were considered to be unstable or mentally unstable were kept. Anyway, the place is now totally abandoned. I believe they're actually developing it into houses, right? But I managed to go there with Moscow, and we did a bit of a tour. Right, that's it, there's a step there. Just need to watch out for, like, as long as there's no nails on the floor. Okay, be alright. This is the only light I've got is on my phone.
Yeah, let's move away from the window so people don't see.
There's an old briefcase. Empty, obviously. Right. That is spooky, that thing hanging off the roof. There's like a hospital bed. Unbelievable. And this is like a trolley or something. How spooky is this place? Look at these light switches. Like a staircase up there, but we're definitely not brave enough. Look at that. Okay, so look at the room. Wow. There's like old dishes and like lights and stuff lying around, and there's a poster of a Ferrari. That's absolutely crazy. Right, the most valuable thing in my possession at the moment is this torch. That's like an old retro bottle. There's like buttons inside these drawers. This is crazy. Now this place isn't that creepy, to be honest, in terms of ghosts. I didn't feel like there was any kind of ghosty energy there, but it is creepy in the fact that the buildings are all so dark and a lot of the equipment, the hospital equipment's there, and you can just imagine it operating as a hospital where they kept people they deemed to be mentally unstable. This is like a horror film, and in fact they did actually film a couple of creepy movies there. Okay, number 5 on the list, the Edinburgh Underground Vaults. These definitely need to be on the list because they have just been the centre of ghost attention for a long time. They're said variously to be the most haunted place in Europe, the most haunted place in the world even. All I know is when you go down underground in Edinburgh into these vaults, you get really bad vibes. It is dark, it is dingy, it is cold, you hear a lot of noises, and I've toured these things a lot of times, and especially in the vlogs, and each time I went there I felt a dark presence. Basically, Edinburgh hundreds of years ago was not the rich place it is today. There was a lot of poor people who lived in the city centre. A lot of them were Irish immigrants or immigrants from other places and stuff, and they mostly lived underground because it was cheap to kind of get into these dank and dingy places, and a lot of bad stuff happened down there. Landlords who were unscrupulous, there was prostitution, and people got killed there a lot. And then there was a plague. A lot of people died in these underground places because of the plague. Some of Edinburgh was closed off during the plague, allowing the people who were trapped in these locations to just die. And again, when you go on the tours of these underground locations, the vaults, the stories that they tell you are of real people who existed and were known to either be bad or who were victims. Birkenhead, for example, operated in these types of locations. I've definitely heard some creepy noises down there that I couldn't explain. I actually caught a creepy noise in those vaults on the vlog. I don't want to be so far in the corner. That's like a dungeon back there.
The other time we were here, someone came in there.
What was that? Did you hear that?
Yep, definitely heard that. Yeah, let's go, let's go, let's go. Yeah, let's go.
I heard something there.
We're not hanging about, we're not hanging about.
If you like paranormal stuff, you want to be scared, and you want to just know about history about Edinburgh, do these tours. For those of you who have watched my vlogs in relation to Outlander stuff, I have been to Culloden, the battlefield, Culloden Moor, about 3 or 4 times now. It's become a bit of a theme in this vlog because of something that happened that I'll tell you about in a second. But Culloden, right? The big battle that happened between the Jacobites, mostly made up of Scottish Highlanders, and then the British forces that were made up of troops from all over the UK. That was a definitive battle of the Jacobite rebellion, which ended up in the slaying of most of the Jacobite forces and the persecution of the Highland way of life there on after. Thousands of Jacobite soldiers died there on that moor and then were buried in mass graves. The wounded were killed on sight, and it was just a really ugly, bloody battle, and the last pitch battle that ever took place on UK soil. Now here's the thing about Culloden Moor. As a Scotsman, I personally feel that the majority of the people who died there would genuinely be favourable to somebody like me. But a lot of the people who go there to like talk to the dead and whatever, people who are professionals and that type of stuff, they all mark massive presence on Culloden battlefield. And definitely when you go there, especially on one of those calm days when there's like mist hanging in the air, it is so eerie and you definitely feel a presence. Whether or not you believe in ghosts, I know people who absolutely think ghosts and the paranormal is absolutely ludicrous, right? I'm kind of on the fence with that myself, but nonetheless, people like that have even told me they have felt a really eerie presence on Culloden Moor that they could not explain, and they didn't like being there alone. So what does that tell you? I mean, like, whether or not you believe in ghosts, as I said, like, I think because something so major happened there where so many people died in a really bloody way, just like, there's just this kind of negative energy in the ground, like the blood is like seeped into there, the bones are there, it is just like there is a presence. And there is stories of people who have been there on misty days and have seen horsemen, people holding axes and swords and spears and stuff. It's just a creepy place and eerie. And it's truly a sad place as well. There's a definite feeling of sadness there of a lot of the men who died there, a lot of young men, a lot of the Highlanders. As I say, the Highland life changed forever there on after. It was brutal, it was bloody, and it was just a really ugly event in history. Flodden Moor is definitely up there with one of the most creepy, spooky places in Scotland. Go there and have a look. It is awesome. If you're in Scotland, you need to go there and have a look. I have talked about this very thing in various vlogs. I've made a bit of a series about it, and I'm going to put a link to that down below. But I've been discussing with viewers that the potential that I had some kind of Culloden curse for picking heather off the moor. Go and watch that series after this, and that will explain some of those things. Okay, so I had to talk about the Banshee Labyrinth pub in Edinburgh for this haunted special Halloween episode. The Banshee Labyrinth in Scotland, in Edinburgh, is known as the most haunted pub in Scotland. The Banshee Labyrinth is actually based in some of the Edinburgh underground vaults that we've just talked about, right? So once you go into the Banshee Labyrinth, some of the chambers go right into the back and then down underground. It's one of those pubs that's got lots of nooks and crannies, and it's all these underground vaults, right? It's a cool place. I really like the bar. In fact, it's probably one of my favourite bars in Edinburgh. So the famous Banshee Labyrinth story is the fact that when they were renovating it, when they were digging it out to make the place safe and secure to become a pub, in the deepest, darkest vault, when they were digging it out, a workman saw a lady, right, in the corner with her hands over her face crying, and she was dressed in old-fashioned long robes. When he asked her what was wrong, she removed her hands and he saw this old cracked face with cracked teeth, and the woman let out a scream, a blood-curdling scream that made him pass out with fear. When he came to, all the workmen bolted out of the place, right, and that is when the workman received a call that one of his family members had died. A banshee, by the way, if you didn't know, is a figure of Irish mythology that forewarns you of family member's death. So that is why the pub actually got its name, the Banshee Labyrinth, because of this workman who saw this lady and is said to have haunted the place ever since. But there's a couple of other stories as well. Molly, for example, a 6-year-old girl called Molly who went missing in 1841. They found her body in the brickwork of an old chimney place there, and Molly is said to haunt the place. There's also Old Jock, right? Jock, a good Scottish name. Old Jock, though, is a bit of a torment, right? And he haunts the ladies' bathroom only in the Banshee Labyrinth. He slams doors, especially when people go in there alone, right? And I'm not kidding you. This actually happened to Tekka, my other half. She was in the Banshee Labyrinth toilet on her own, and she swears blind she was in there, and the taps on the sink literally came on and off right before her eyes as she was in there. She left the place spooked. Again, she is somebody who doesn't necessarily believe in ghosts, totally or not, but that actually happened to her. And when she came out, I laughed because I knew all about Old Jock and I told her the story, and she got freaked out after that. Old Jock. But then there's also Rosie, who's said to be a prostitute ghost who hangs about in there. You know what? It's just a spooky place. And if you're in Edinburgh, I recommend going for a pint at the Banshee Labyrinth and just use your imagination, get yourself lost in the chambers. There's even a cinema in the place that runs all the time and plays old-fashioned movies. And you know what, guys? That is the end of my list of the most haunted places I have been to in Scotland. There are a lot more haunted places in Scotland and I have yet to explore them all. But I do like haunted paranormal stuff. Whether or not I truly believe in it or not, I like it. I like that kind of genre of topic. It's interesting. And as I say, in Scotland we are storytellers, and we have a lot of paranormal stuff in Scotland to talk about. A lot of stories, a lot of history with that type of stuff. It's part of our culture, to be honest with you. And I will be exploring that in the vlog at some point. Anyway guys, listen, thank you so much everybody for watching. I would highly appreciate if you might consider supporting my content through patreon.com. You can do so from as little as $1 a month, and all that money goes towards helping me produce this content. So thank you to everybody who's involved with that. And that's the end of today's vlog. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a good night, morning, evening, afternoon, or whatever time of day it is wherever you are in the world. Take care.